We are going to talk a lot about Social Security between now and whenever these criminals create a new budget. And notice I call them criminals because they are stealing your money and giving it away to wealthy folks. We have had for the last several decades a transfer of wealth, a transfer of earnings, a transfer of income from the middle class and the poor to the wealthy. We don't have to ask anymore if that is occurring. Because if you look at what the numbers tell you, that is exactly what they would tell you. As Trump must target Social Security, seniors starting to share their stories of benefits cut off. This came in from an article at Common Dreams, one of the progressive papers that I like to read in the mornings. Well, I read it all day. I read all of them all day. And one of the things that I need to tell all of us, we need to start reading and supporting these progressive rags, these substacks from good people, and we need to also support them as best you can. A lot of these guys say $5 subscriptions, $10 subscriptions, all these kind of stuff. Mainstream media is bought and paid for by the corporatocracy. If you want media that you can trust, you are going to have to support a media that you trust. And I know a lot of times that sounds like saying, hey, support KPFT. Hey, support Politics Done Right. That is exactly what I'm saying, folks, because as you know, a lot of this corporate media, they just cannot do the job because of who's paying them. So yes, I make sure to support probably 15, 20 different rags because you want them to remain existent and doing what they need to do. As Trump must target Social Security, seniors share stories of benefit cutoffs. That's how one political scientist responded on Saturday, reporting about a Washington state man fighting for his Social Security benefits as U.S. President Donald Trump and the head of his Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, billionaire Elon Musk, attacked the federal bureaucracy, including the agency that administers payments to seniors like Leonard Ned Johnson. Seattle Times columnist Danny Westneat shared the story of 82-year-old Johnson. In February, his wife received a notification from their bank that the Social Security Administration requests a return for benefits paid out after the supposed death of her husband. The 82-year-old man that still has life, the 82-year-old man that is active and still around, he's dead, right? She figured it was a scam, as Johnson was alive, but the request was real and $5,201 was pulled from his account. As Westneat detailed, after making multiple calls to the Social Security Administration, during which Johnson was put on hold and then eventually disconnected, and he went to the office on the 9th floor of the Henry Jackson Federal Building downtown, one of several sites across the United States that DOGE wants to shut down. According to the columnist, hear this. This should make your blood boil. After waiting for 4 hours, Johnson admits he jumped the line. I saw an opening and I kind of rushed up and told them I was listed as dead. That seemed to get their attention. Once in front of a human, Johnson said he was able to quickly prove he was alive using his passport and his gift of gab. They pledged to fix his predicament, and on Thursday this past week, the bank called to say it had returned the deducted deposits to his account. As of Friday morning, he hadn't received February or March's benefit payments. When I was in that line, I was thinking that if I was living solely off of Social Security, I could be close to dumpster diving about now, he said. I want you all to think about that. DOGE, meaning Elon Musk and Donald Trump, with a whole bunch of computer hackers who do not understand the intricacies of the computer program that governs the payment of your Social Security to you, goes out there and make believe hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Social Security recipients are dead. And in calling them dead, they've just sucked money out of their accounts and took it. Suppose you were an old person living solely on Social Security check to Social Security check. Know that those who are running Social Security now, your government under the auspices of Donald Trump and co-president Musk, that your Social Security payments are at risk. I'm going to give you some advice right now. Every month, you get your Social Security payments. And I know the problem is that many older people don't know the intricacies of doing things online, etc. But this is one of those times where you may want to do this. Have a different account where your Social Security check is deposited. And as soon as it is deposited, throw it into another account and use the other account as the account you spend out of. All of you that are at a certain age, because these hackers, these 19, 20, and 21-year-olds that Doge is using to go through all the Social Security code, etc. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't understand the programming that was done 40 years ago and how the different things that you do in computer programming. They don't get it, but they go there gung-ho to make Social Security more efficient, not understanding that Social Security as it is right now is very efficient. Do we know that there are a few overpayments and underpayments being made? Yes. And it is fixed one item at a time because they did some research that said if we go ahead and fix the entire system, it will cost more money than doing it the way we're doing it. These are things that have been done before. Social Security system is very efficient. Don't let anybody fool you. Is there fraud? There is fraud in anything. In fact, there's more fraud in the private sector than in the public sector because the private sector is the one that rips off the government from left to right. Military industrial complex rips off the government. The food industrial complex rips off the government. So a lot of your money right now that is being overcharged into all these other private sector companies, they are the ones that are ripping us off, not the government. If you want to solve the problem about us paying much too high prices for things we shouldn't pay, go to the private sector who is ripping us off left and right, folks. You know, when you charge $1 million for a bomb that costs you $5,000 to make, that's a ripoff. When you charge $33 million for a plane that costs you $10 million to make, that's a ripoff. When you charge $5 for a bottle of mustard that you can go to HEB and get for under $1, that's a ripoff. Understand that the ripoff in our government isn't done by the government employees. It is done by the private sector who profits and sells to the government. And that private sector, it isn't even the employees in the private sector who benefit from said theft. It is the owners of capital, the small number of people like Musk that rip us off. When he sends a rocket to space, the overcharges that you and I pay for. Don't dare think that it's government employees that make government less efficient. It is the private sector that rips us off to the core. Please, people, we have to wisen up. We have to take stuff in our command and stop being stooges to those who rip us off. So, continuing with the article on Social Security. Author Jeff Nesbitt, the public affairs chief of 5 federal agencies or departments, including the SSA, under 4 presidents, shared the article on Musk-owned social media site X, saying, "So incredibly sad that Musk Doge are now preying on people like this. I hope older Americans understand the assault underway against Social Security is right now." You don't have to sit back and think that, well, they always talk about taking our Social Security or taking our Social Security private. And, that's not going to happen. They just talk about it. It's not going to happen. So it's okay for me to vote for right-wing conservatives because they're not going to really do it. Well, they're doing it this time. Because this president that we have here is not like any other president. This guy doesn't mind just blowing stuff. And when you have a cult behind you, you can get it done. And as you can see, the Congress of the United States under the auspices of the Republicans is a cult. Under the auspices, even the minority party in Chuck Schumer is lining up in line to be a part of the cult. Progressive political consultant Matt Hurden similarly said, Elon Musk and Donald Trump are stealing seniors' hard-earned benefits. It's already happening, and it will get worse if they go through with closing branch offices and cutting staff. Think about it. As they cut staff and cut telephones, etc., where you can't reach them, your money gets taken away from you. And you have a hard time recovering, fighting the government because you can't reach anybody on the phone. The offices are being closed. And guess where a lot of them going to close? In rural areas, folks. So you MAGA folks that are on Social Security and all these other programs, and your rural offices are closed, when they forget to give you your check or when they take the money back out, you know how difficult it will be for you to get that reinstated. And in the process of getting it reinstated, that money is in the coffers of the United States government on their ledger sheet, not as a payable, but as savings. So if you die in the process, that is just monies that the government has stolen from you and continues to have. People, you have to understand what is occurring here. This isn't conjecture, what I'm telling you here. This is happening. This is actually happening. McCaffrey learned that his Social Security benefits were suspended when he received a notice saying that he needed to pay $740 or he was going to lose Medicare. Health insurance for seniors after multiple phone calls and hours on hold. Listen to this, the amount of time you got to put in. Hours on hold. He finally got through. He then quickly received the missing payment, but never got an explanation. And SSA, Social Security, refused to give one to the news station. In other words, they just screwed up, purposefully screwed up. However, McCaffrey believes his trouble may stem from the fact that he was born on a U.S. military base in Germany and Musk's recent Fox Business appearance during which he claimed that undocumented immigrants are receiving benefits. If you look at my passport, I am a U.S. citizen with an American passport. And it has a thing that says place of birth. My place of birth is Panama. Those buffoons that work under the Trump administration see that somebody's citizenship is, they don't look at citizenship, they look at place of birth and then say, oh, look, illegal immigrant getting Social Security. I mean, the level of ineptitude in the Trump administration, but further, it affects all of you. Because you know what? There's a city in the United States called Panama City. And if these guys have such lousy algorithms in their AI that they're doing to find all this stuff, just seize Panama. People in Panama City, Florida, may actually get their Social Security docked. I'm just saying. However, McCaffrey believes his trouble may stem from the fact that he was born in Germany and Musk's recent Fox Business appearance, during which he claimed that undocumented immigrants are receiving benefits. That came shortly after a podcast interview during which billionaire called Social Security a Ponzi scheme. McCaffrey is now concerned about other seniors facing similar issues, as KFOR reported. He worries about people who may not have the time and resources he had to get to the bottom of what happened and get his benefit back. What he means by that is some people are just going to throw their hands up in the air and say, well, I guess I'm not getting Social Security anymore. I'll go ahead and try to get money from, when you're not informed of how your government works or your rights, and there are millions of Americans who can't read, who don't understand their rights, who don't understand government, that when they just stop getting the money, they'll just go to their country church and say, well, I stopped getting money from the government. And then that church will raise funds to take care of them, etc., etc., etc. That is a way of stealing money from those who least can afford to be stolen from, because the rich guy getting Social Security, when they stop paying him Social Security, he's going to raise hell, and she's going to go down there and really make sure, what the hell is happening to my Social Security? That's an earned benefit. A poor person who doesn't know their rights may just sit down and take it. And once again, the poor and the middle class pays the price of being stolen from, whether legal or illegally. Our economic system, as it stands today, steals from the poor and the middle class legally. We have to understand these concepts. I hope more of you listen to these programs, share these programs, understand our system. They depend on you not understanding the system to rip you off. They expect that, folks. They expect that. In response to McCaffrey's experience, Ashley, a public relations professional who previously worked for Social Security Democrats and the U.S. Treasury Department, said, picture thousands of Social Security beneficiaries having their benefits canceled with no explanation and limited recourse to get them reinstated. Trump and Musk's recent moves and remarks have fueled fears that they are working to privatize Social Security. U.S. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat of Rhode Island, laid out a potential GOP attack plan for the program on Friday. Hey, you know what's so funny? What he laid out is what I placed in one of my Substacks. And that's exactly how they intend to privatize Social Security and screw you. And here is how Sheldon spoke about it. One, the first thing they do, Trump and his vassals tell lies that there's no plan to cut Social Security. So they put that in your head that they don't have any plans to cut Social Security. Notice they don't say we're not cutting Social Security. They say we don't have plans to cut Social Security. The second thing they do then, Trump and Musk lie loudly about imaginary Social Security fraud to lower public confidence in the program. They want you to believe that the program sucks. So they're going to tell you all these bad things that are happening in the program, even though you have been receiving your check and everything correctly for years. But they know, they understand that they can control your mind if your mind is feeble, if your mind is gullible. They know that. So they start to pump that in your mind. There's something wrong with Social Security. It's a lot of fraud in Social Security. Número tres, Musk sends his nasty muskrats into Social Security to damage administration of the fund, leading to interruption in benefits. So you start to see problems pick up. Things start not working. And this is the part that gets me with our American psyche. If your Social Security has been working for decades, you have been getting your money, you've been getting funded for decades after you retired, and it all worked perfectly. Donald Trump, along with his co-president Musk, comes into power and it stops working. They think you are so stupid. The Trump administration and Musk, they think you are so stupid that instead of saying Social Security is broken because you broke it, they think you're going to say Social Security is broken because of government. They don't equate that you are going to say Social Security is broken because of you, Trump and Musk. You all broke it. So after they break it, the step 4, Trump then declares emergency and hands administration of Social Security to private equity and tech bros to fix the problem they created. Okay? Again, think about it. After they tell you it's broken, they want to tell you that to fix it. And by the way, how did it get broken? They laid off all these Social Security workers. They went into the Social Security program and talk about there being dead people and illegal immigrants getting Social Security, both of which are false. But they tell you that to try to get you to believe that the system is broken. And then they declare an emergency and turn it over to the private sector, who we know is the biggest, the private sector in banking and finance are our biggest thieves in this country. And they turn it over to those guys. And number 5, then Republicans declare victory that they saved Social Security by handling it to private equity bros and put Trump's name on checks. People, we've been telling you this. And if you think you doubt it, remember during the pandemic, Congress, the Democratic Congress, started paying out funds to keep the economy afloat. And the only way Donald Trump would sign the funds from the Democratic Congress was if it had his name on it. So now you have a lot of people just saying, yeah, Donald Trump gave us money during the pandemic, not realizing that he demanded his name be placed on a check that he previously said, I'm not going to pass a bill that gives money to people. Why do people buy this? Why do the gullible buy it? Because of a derelict Democratic Party. The reason Donald Trump can get away with this crap is because the Democratic Party has weakened themselves. And to those who ask, why is the Democratic Party, or how or why did it allow itself to be weakened? It was by design. I mean, the progressives in the party are still strong. They just have no power. What made it difficult is because the ones who are owned by the Wall Street and the plutocracy, they don't want the progressive nature of us all to emerge because it's right on the lid, folks. But you have to be ready. You have to be ready to take command.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.